The immigration issue is a big one on the campaign trail. It's also the subject of a subcommittee hearing today on Capitol Hill. Lawmakers examining illegal immigration into the United States, specifically along the southwest border. More than 100,000 families making that journey since 2014. And despite a dip in January, some say the United States isn't doing enough to get the numbers under control for good.
Immigration laws today appear to be mere suggestions. There are little to no consequences for breaking the laws, and that fact is well known in other countries. If government agencies like DHS or CBP are allowed to bypass Congress by legislating through policy, we might as well abolish our immigration laws altogether.
Now, for someone who is there today, joining us is House Judiciary Committee Chairman and Virginia Congressman Bob Goodlatte. It's great to have you on the program, sir. For those of us who missed the entire thing, and there's a lot of focus on New Hampshire and other politics now, what do you think is the big headline that came out of the subcommittee today?
Well, I think the big headline came out of the subcommittee should be that as we watch Iowa, New Hampshire, and beyond, we need a president of the United States who's committed to enforcing our immigration laws, because this hearing made it very plain that this president is not enforcing the laws. Remember the great border surge of 2 summers ago? Well, guess what? It never stopped. Most of the media, unlike Fox, has stopped covering that. But the fact of the matter is, what we're facing today is a situation where there are more people in the last quarter of last year entering the country than 2 years ago when we had that so-called border surge. It's continued rising illegal immigration.
Let me ask you about last month, because the Department of Homeland Security is using those numbers and saying, listen, in January, the numbers fell. And that was after we did raids targeting Central American families who came in illegally over New Year's weekend. So they're not making a direct connection, but they are saying the numbers are lower. Why don't you think that trend will continue?
Well, that's 1 month. It's the coldest month of the year. It's the month when, after the holidays, they're still gathering up and they haven't yet appeared at our border. The projections for this entire fiscal year are higher than they were in 2014, and there's a reason for that. The word has spread back to Central America and other places in the world, for that matter, that we're not enforcing our immigration laws, and that's exactly what we heard from the Border Patrol agent that you just showed a clip of. And in fact, he told us today, and this was a real blockbuster news, that because the administration has been embarrassed by the number of people who do not return for their hearings after they're so-called caught and then released into the interior of the country, they've ordered the Border Patrol agents to stop arresting them in the first place. Instead of enforcing the law, they've said, well, stop even detaining them, then we won't have this problem of them not coming back for the hearing because there's no hearing to begin with.
You know, it's interesting.
It's unbelievable.
We saw that headline as well. We reached out to the Department of Homeland Security as well as Border Patrol to get some clarity on that, because that would be very big news if indeed it was a shift of policy directly to these Border Patrol agents not to do that. In the meantime, as we await a response, because we don't have one yet, Congressman, what do you think absolutely needs to be done to stop the flow if indeed the trend that we see in January doesn't continue as you expect it not to?
The President of the United States needs to enforce the laws, and he needs to announce very clearly here and in Central America that the laws are going to be enforced, and that people should not be encouraged to make this long, dangerous trip, many of them unaccompanied minors, exploited by coyotes who are getting huge fees to bring people here to this country. And then after they're turned themselves in, they're so-called caught at the border and then released in the interior of the country, they're often released to people who had no background checks done on them, no fingerprinting, and in fact, we've had now more than a dozen instances of children being subject to sexual abuse, child labor violations, and so on. They're being brought here and being exploited by the people who so-called are going to take care of them and keep them safe in this country.
A terrible situation, especially for the children, and we're going to be thinking about them in all of this as we continue to ask questions about the policy. Congressman, great to have you on the program. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Jenna.
We'll be right back.
Appreciate it.